Okay. Well, and what's your book on?
The book is about racing.
And are you trying to get it published, or you already have a deal, or
I'm
what's
trying to
the?
get it published. And I'm
Okay.
interviewing race drivers on the phone to make sure I get all the facts right.
Okay. Well, what can I do for you?
I have some questions that I hope you can answer honestly from my book, if you're okay with that.
I can try. Is this a good time to do it?
This is a really good time.
Okay.
So, what is life after racing like? Like, what are you doing today?
Well, if you want to know exactly, I've got some guys working in the driveway trying to fix some pavers. But I have just some a business I'm taking care of. I work in various businesses and have a digital media business, and we just got one contract today, and we're trying to raise some funds on some other issues, and just this and that. I live in California, and so just working, been up, had to take the dogs out, all that sort of stuff. So just normal life, and anxious to see how things go down in Daytona because this is a 24-hour, and they had a big dinner last night in honor of Chip Ganassi. So just sent some texts down to Chip and some of the boys on congratulations. So just normal everyday life.
Cool. I'm a filmmaker.
All right, you're based in Scottsdale, or
Yeah, I'm based in Scottsdale.
okay, good for you. Would I know any of your films?
Well, I'm just starting out. I recently started my career about a few months ago.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Well, good for you. Are you out? You're out of high school, and are you in university?
I'm in a university, yeah. And I'm also training under an actor that lives in California, Andy McPhee.
Okay, I've heard the name.
Cool.
Good, good for you.
Thank you,
Well,
man.
sounds like you got a lot. What else do you need to know?
What was on your mind when Mario's engine broke down while leading Indianapolis in 1987?
When Mario's engine let down in '87, you're not talking about the year I won, correct?
No, not the year you won, but I
Yeah.
will ask you something about that in a little bit.
Okay. Well, look, um, I think that anybody you're competing against, and Mario is always a tough competitor. Okay, and the Andretti's have a great record at Indy for leading laps, for being competitive, for being fast. Um, Obviously, they would have liked to have had a better winning ratio to their their leading ratio. So you always, I don't want to say fear, but you always are concerned about a very competitive, um, driver and team. And of course, Mario, with Newman Haas, with all that, is a super competitive team as well. Um,
Uh,
so, but when somebody goes out, in some certain ways, it's like, wow, okay, well, I don't have to deal with him, and he's going to be a threat, or is a threat, or was a threat, or whatever. But there again, you don't like to. Me personally, I don't like to wish ill will on anybody because I figure there's karma, and that's going to come back to haunt me. Okay,
yeah.
and so as much as you're elated that there's one less serious competitor to try to, when you're trying to win, but to the same extent, you want to race guys and beat them fair and square, and win with a full field. So it's a mixed bag of emotions.
Yeah. The Andrettis are cursed there, they say.
Yeah, Mario won it one time. I won it one time. Some guys won it two, three, or a couple of them four times. But one win still, you're still an Indy 500 champion.
Yep.
And and it was probably unfortunate with the career that Michael had, with all his wins and so forth, that he didn't win, an Indy 500. But it wasn't meant to be. Now he's won it as an owner, but I'm sure that's not quite the same as he would have liked to have won it personally.
Yeah, for sure. What was on your mind when you spun out while leading the race in '85, and how did it feel afterwards when you made that remarkable comeback to still win the race?
Well, here's the thing for me. Obviously, I was very pissed off to lose control of the car, and like most people, including Mario and anybody else, it just seemed like I was going to hit the wall. Okay, because that's invariably what happens at Indy, and luck was on my side in that spin. But to be honest with you, although you're happy that you pulled it off, you got to be right. I had to be right back in the game and radio in and tell Derek that I needed tires, from the spin. And I didn't need to explain to him the spin, because that's, just you got to stay focused on the business and so forth. And then, because everything was okay, made the pit stop. Had to make sure I didn't make any mistakes in the pit stop. Get out and go. Everything was. You just had to stay focused on the race. It's like, okay, now I could. Hey, morning. You could. I just had to stay focused on the race and put that behind me for the time being, and not dwell on what it was. Now, afterwards I could think about it and analyze it and pinch myself how lucky I was and so forth. But in reality, you had to stay in the game right there. So I didn't really have much time to think about it.
Cool. Who is your best friend in the garages?
Well, my best friend in the garage, obviously I was very close to my teammate, Rick Mears. But, our era was a little bit different. I was close with a lot of people there and friendly with a lot of people, but we were also a very competitive group. And later on, kind of the next generation that came, everybody, Jimmy Vassar and Dario and Helio and Tony Kanaan and the late Greg Moore, all those groups. Those guys were all really, Max Pappas, those guys were all big buddies. They traveled together, they did everything together. Our group was not quite that way. Now, a lot of that is geography, because we all lived in different corners of the world and the United States, and it made it geographically more difficult. But we were a very competitive group, And Mario I'd known and helped me. He helped me salvage my career. He put in a good word for me and really helped out. So I'd known Mario for a long time. And but when you're competitive and you got different sponsors and you got different responsibilities, and sometimes you might have a different engine manufacturer. It was more difficult for everybody just to be real pal. Now you see people and hello and friendly and talk to them and do some stuff. And every now and again you got Michael play golf with somebody or this, that, and the other. But I was closer with different people, but not necessarily the drivers.
Cool. And who was your favorite competitor that you raced against?
Well, I'm going to be totally honest. This was a great era for racing. We're talking IndyCar, correct?
IndyCar, yeah.
Okay, okay. I assume most of his questions are centered around IndyCar. Um, I was honored to be in a great, very competitive group of drivers in maybe one of the most competitive um, eras of IndyCar. Okay,
Okay.
if you go down and look at the list from Mario and Michael and Al Jr. and Rick and Ray Hall and Wyandike and Emerson Fittipaldi and Floyd and John, and the list just goes on and on. I'm leaving guys out from that came in, Roberto Guerrero, Kogan at some stages was, all these guys had. Some guys would get on a run for 2 or 3 races and be super competitive. So would a team. The list just went on and on. And I think for me, here's the indicator of how good the rules were, how competitive the field was. On most cases, when you showed up at a race, the first 20 to 22 cars were covered by 1 second, even on a road course. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a really, really competitive field. Not only does it show that the drivers are competitive, but it shows the teams are competitive. Now, let's not forget what year was it? You're going to know better than I am, but 94, maybe 93. No, was it 94? No.
Which race are you talking about? I think I can remember.
When neither Penske qualified.
95.
95, okay? And yet a journalist from Japan qualified and stuff like that, okay? I mean, that just, for me, just showed how competitive that era of IndyCar racing was, And, when you're racing against people like Emerson Fittipaldi, and I'm not just picking Emerson, because they all were, whether it's Ray Hall, Mears was probably the best oval driver ever, He was just phenomenal on an oval, But he was also very, very, very good on road courses. I mean, he won the race out at Laguna Seca even after his feet were all torn up, or his foot was all torn up. So, you're in an era where the teams and the drivers, the pit stops, the engine, everything was so competitive. And, I look back on that, and somebody asked me one time, well what made, you so famous? And I don't look at myself as famous, but I'm just saying what made, and I said, really? It was the people that I raced against.
Ah,
I
okay.
didn't just spin and win the Indy 500. I spun racing Mario Andretti. That's the Mario Andretti,
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to anybody else that would have been out there in the field, but you're racing Mario Andretti for the lead of the Indianapolis 500. And I think I was the last, or one of the last, or for a long period of time, it was the cover of Sports Illustrated. And if you look at the picture, it was myself, Mario, and Emerson Fittipaldi. There's 2 world champions in there, multiple Indy 500 winners in there. Just look at the sports car, the record in that photograph. That's for me, that's a mega era to be in. And I look around. I'm sitting in my office. I look around at trophies and different things and the memories. But a lot of that is the people that I raced against.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
The last question I have is, how has Penske Racing evolved? And then this is talking about his NASCAR team. There's 2 race drivers that he has that are really controversial, like Brad and Joey. And how has Penske evolved, in your opinion?
How has he evolved what?
How has he evolved? How has Penske Racing changed?
Well, Rogers had some, probably. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of people that when I signed for Penske questioned, why me? Why Danny? I wasn't a big IndyCar name or anything like that. I'd only done a couple races. I'd done a season, but I'd won 3 races. But I wasn't a big, established star in IndyCar racing. But Rogers had, guys that were controversial. Paul Tracy, had his controversies. Al Jr. had some of his during his career.
Yeah.
Joey, Brad, you can say they've got some controversies around them and so forth. But the one thing that Roger always picks is winners.
Yeah, okay? I've heard that.
He doesn't want people that aren't going to win. Okay? And that doesn't mean he wants guys that'll get the job done with the sponsors and the corporate involvement and he doesn't want guys that are just out there real controversial, causing all kinds of problems and stuff like that. But if you're a winner, Roger will, he'll take some of that other stuff with it. He wants somebody that's going to win races. And the great part about driving for Roger Penske is Roger wants it as bad, if not worse, than you do. Okay? And at one stage Roger was the best sports car driver in the world, and so he understands it also from a driver's perspective. If things are going wrong, it's out of the driver's hands, he understands it, and he gets it. But Roger also understands the big picture, the corporate world, guys that are young, that get the job done, that can meet the sponsors' requirements, that do the right thing. But ultimately, when Roger looks down at the driver and he makes his decision, he's trying to pick a guy that's going to win races for him, period. Win races, and if you're winning races, you win a championship. That's how he looks at it. The race wins is the most important thing. The championships will follow.
Wasn't Tom Sneva another controversial driver from the 70s, kinda?
I really wasn't that involved in that era. I raced some against Tom, but I raced against Tom more toward the closing of his career.
Yeah.
And he had some issues, I think, that I've read about just the way you have, but Tom's okay. I mean, he's just, he's a wild man in some ways, and will, say a lot, but Roger saw in him probably that he could, he was fast and he could win races. Hey, Bobby Unser, I mean, he had some controversies around him, but he won a lot of races for Roger. So, you just look at that stuff and say, hey, whatever, it's again, it comes back to the thing, are you going to win races for Roger Penske?
Yeah.
He'll take it to a point, but are you going to win races? Is that the guy that's the best guy out there for me to win races?
Yeah.
That he can get, if that makes sense. Because sometimes the guy might be at another team, but he's just not available, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't blame Roger for picking winners, because, that's what's going to keep the team going, is picking winners.
Yeah, look, every driver that I've known wants to drive for Roger because they know they're going to have a chance to win. One of the toughest decisions I made in my career was leaving Doug Cheers and Domino Pizza Hot One, leaving that team. Great group of guys, Dennis Swan, all the boys that were there. We won 3 races in really what was my first year in IndyCar, full season in IndyCar. Great group of guys, great people. But when I looked at it, I thought, okay, who's got the long-term longevity to win races in a championship? And Roger made an offer to me, and it was kind of like, okay, where's the strongest for my future? For winning. And that it was a tough decision, to leave a team that in your first full year, you win 3 races, and to leave that's a tough decision, trust me. And they were good guys. They were good guys, they were strong, they were winners, and believe me, that was not an easy step.
Yeah, I bet not. I hear that they later won the 500 in 1990 with Arie Luyendyk, I think.
Yeah, they won a lot of races. Al Jr., Arie, they did a great job. They were a super team. But I just think for me, for long term, Roger was the best. So, anyway, hey, listen, run some errands. Okay.
Thank you.
I hope you good luck with your book and your film, and good luck to you.
Thanks, sir. And I want to make a promise before you go. I will not publish your phone number on any sort of anything on the internet. I will not publish or give away your number.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem. Anytime.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.